Good evening. This is Dr. Fontana, and I want to welcome you back for this week. And this week we're moving between week 2 and week 3. So I thought we would continue where we had left off. As you know, last week we were talking about parallelism and how important it is. And just as a refresher, parallelism is 3 items, one at a time, and you can use it for each paragraph. And when skipping, jumping, running. Okay, we can do that with independent clauses or phrases or whatever, what have you. Today, we're going to take a little different journey. We're going to talk about flat words for one. Flat words are terrible when you're writing because it just means that the writing is just it has no interest. Okay, it just doesn't. And we'll start out with pronouns. When you're writing, you do not want to use I in writing. Okay, I is unless it's an actual story about yourself. But for the most part, I um, doesn't mean anything because nobody really cares about you. They want to know something about whatever the topic is that you're writing. Therefore, try to use the third pronoun of the they, he, she, or what have you. Use that. Do not use you, that second person. Why? Because believe it or not, you is demeaning. You people understand? See my point? Oh, it's you? No, it's demeaning. Avoid it. You can use he, she, or they. Think of it this way. It's prom night, and you've gotten all dressed up. And the last thing you do is you go into the bathroom and you look in the mirror and you turn, you say, boy, she or he looks good. Okay? So you can use third person outside of you. And that's where I'm going with that one. So flat words are like just because you want to just use it just doesn't make it right. Unless it's a just cause. Other than that, just means nothing. It's just like a pause, you know? Just a pause, you know? That's what that is. Do not use so. There are times when so is significant, especially in some of Shakespeare's writings. He used it only when it was quintessentially important and significant. Otherwise, don't use so because we use so for so many things, so often, so frequently. After a while, it means so little. Okay? Another thing we don't want to use, we want to use words like good. Don't use good because good is demeaning. Because it depends how you use it. If you say that's good, that by intonation, inflection, what have you, it can make a difference. I'll give you an example. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Oh, that's good. Good. See how inflection, whatever, can change the meaning for it. Those just gesticulations. And also in the meaning. I'll give you this example. Have you ever had chicken at a restaurant and your friend said, "That was a chicken?" And he said, "Boy, that chicken was bad. It was so bad. I'm going back tomorrow and get some more." So see the problem with that. And then you can say, in another case, if it was terrible, you say, "Oh yeah, that was good. Yeah." No. So you can see the difference there. Be careful of these flat words, like you know, you know, like. What does that mean? Be careful of those things. There are so many flat words. And we're gonna get a list of them. I hope to come up with maybe 55 to 65 in the list, probably in the next week or 2 or 3. And you can see how they don't mean anything. Okay? So we want to look at that. The other thing we want to look at that I've noticed is some people are not indenting paragraphs. You have to indent a paragraph. It's the basic construct of thoughts that belong for that item, okay, all compressed in that paragraph. Also, the reason for that is it's virtually impossible to, with the eyes, to be able to hold any concept of thinking if you just have the lines without any break in them. The average paragraph probably is 100 to 250 words. Um, shorter than that is not good, but certainly what's worse is even longer than that. You do want to keep it compact. And once you know what goes in a paragraph, then you'll be fine. You want the leading statement in there, what your topic's going to be, and more parallelism, the items you're going to talk about. Think of it this way. You're writing an essay, and let's say your topic is talking about the automobile industry in America, something about it, and the three companies. Some of this I talked about last week. As you talk about them, that's the parallelism. And in each paragraph, you can talk about one of those companies and three things about them. And this can go out infinitum as you go along each paragraph. So you can have one parallelism in the first paragraph, parallelism in the second paragraph with the first point, but then 3 points of that would give you three additional paragraphs. So this would go on. This could go on for a very long time. So you want to worry about that as well. That's significant. The other thing you want to have too is phrasing. Try not to use the word or words there is or there are. There is much that goes on. What is there is what? Okay? What is there is? There are many people who eat hamburgers. It's better to get rid of there are and then have many people eat hamburgers who are whatever. Okay? Same thing with there is. Also significantly is the word and are the words there is. Okay? Or this is rather. This is. This is something. It should be this what? Whatever that is, this is what? Okay? This is very costly. What's the this? This jacket is very costly. This home is very costly. The this has to be followed by what that this is, not after the verb of is, because the is just presenting it twice. It's like saying it is what it is. That's what it is. It is what it is. Okay? The other thing you want to look at in a paragraph, you want to look at the closing. You got to be able to wrap it up in the last sentence. And then you have to have transitioning to the next paragraph. You've got to be able to do that. Another thing you want to look at is tense. You always want to be consistent in tense. If it's present, you stay in present. If it's past, it stays in past. Okay? We live in the past to a certain extent, but the past becomes the present the moment it's expressed. The moment it comes out, it's past. Okay? Be careful of the future. Be careful of it with the will. I will, they will, he will. Because what happens with that is once you use will, you can look it up. You can try to write it. Look at your essays. You'll read it. You'll say it often. I will this, will that, will. That's not good. Okay, so you want to be consistent. Another thing you want to look at is whatever you say is important because you're in the area and the arena and the environment, which is important. But it's critical thinking. It's your ideas, your thought. However, you have to have support. You don't want too much support because then there are none of these are your ideas. But you want people who support something that you do or say because that's meaningful. If you say too much, it's meaningless. Okay, so you want to stay meaningful. The other thing you want to have is you want to have references in there. And those are citations. You want to cite the person. You read something in a book by Thomas. You have parentheses, Thomas, and then a comma and the page that you found it on. And then in the references, that's a whole different story. In this case, what I've asked for is to use APA. I know some of you will use MLA, and I actually will accept that, but I prefer APA. Why, you may ask? Because 95% of the colleges, universities, and other research facilities use APA format. So why not get used to using it? Okay? In the sense, it's easier to perform. So use the APA format. The other thing is, when you're citing, do not start a paragraph in the first sentence with a citation. Okay? Oftentimes, too, almost equally important is do not finish with the final statement with a citation, something you pulled from somewhere. So those are important items to think about. So you have to have a balance there. And only you can share really what you think is the fair balance. There again, if you start saying this person and that person and this person, that's a little bit different. That's used for dissertations and those kinds of things. Another point to mention is in MLA format, you have works cited, MLA format, I'll give you references. In APA format, you have references. Now, some of you will want to get real fancy and you want to say bibliography. My bibliography. Well, let me tell you the difference between references section and a bibliography section. There is a major difference. See where I said there is a major difference? I could have said a major difference is shown or shows or whatever. Um, in the reference section, you have your references in alphabetical order. In a bibliography, you only have references in there that help construct or show how you prepared your project or paper or thesis or whatever. For example, if you use a certain style of statistics, you'd write that in there. That's the bibliography. Okay? It has nothing to do with it being in the book or in the writing. It's just showing what process you used. What process you used. If that makes sense. It's like saying where you played the baseball game. It's different than what was played at the baseball game. With all the players in the game and how it's played. All right. The difference is it's all done in that field. That's how we did it. Using that kind of statistics or that kind of particular book, which is significant let's say, in a liturgical environment or milieu. Okay, so that's important. So I'd like to see a little bit more of that. I really would. And you'll find that once you do this, and we're going to talk more about other things in the future, you'll find that it becomes fun because you can see what you've done. You can write whatever, and then you go back and clean it up, make it more, make it richer, make it more understanding, make it more critically thought. It's fascinating. So, with all that being said, I'd like you to look up some of those things, okay, and practice them. Practice them. So, with that being said, we'll see you next week at the same time. Again, it's 6 o'clock Eastern, but 5 o'clock Central Time. And I'm going to put this on. I'm going to record it and put it in the announcements. So it's glad talking with you again. And the final thing I'll say is I can be reached at 706 570 1297. And if you have any questions at all, any questions, you see I am approachable. Sometimes you need a little more time to finish your work or something like that, or sickness, illness, whatever. You feel free to call me. With that being said, I'll say good day and we'll see you next week. Take care.